So, I'm very happy to see that you guys are ready to go to work right here on the docks in Norway, in Salty Mechanics. This is the YouTube channel where you get to learn a little bit more about mechanics and boats. So, in this episode, I want to answer a couple of your questions. This one guy, Leandro, he's been supporting the channel for some time now, always giving me good feedback, and now he has a couple of questions. So I'm just going to figure out where they are right here on my phone. Here we are. What tools do you use? How did you learn mechanics? Your biggest challenges today? That's a very good question. Can you please do a trailer workshop tour? And what to inspect in a 100-hour maintenance service on an engine? All very good questions, and I want to answer them. I think I'm going to answer one or two in this episode, and I'll get back to the others quite soon. We also need to pay the bills, as you know. So I have a job on an engine that has some starting problems. So let's just get to it. You can watch the intro, and I'm going to pack and get ready to go. So here I am sitting in my car waiting. It's just raining so much, so I have to wait a little bit, otherwise I'm gonna get so soaked. So instead of going out, I'm sitting in my car watching movies.
Get for your health, you know.
What is pinche?
Me.
The kind of boat I would like to own, right there. So here we are in a Beneteau first, and I need to find the keys. There we are. Yes. There you are. Mr. 3GM30 from Yanmar. That's where you're hiding. So the customer who owns this boat, he wanted me to do a service on the engine because it's been a while, change oil filters and all of that. But he's very curious on why it takes so long for the engine to start. I mean, he turns the key around and he says it takes about 30-40 seconds before it actually starts, which is weird because he changed the starter some time back. So let's take a look at that, and also there's a lot of black smoke coming out from the exhaust. It's raining a lot now. All right, the starter works. It's brand new. You know, the customer changed it some time back. The batteries are definitely giving enough juice to the starter because we can just continue trying and trying without losing power. We could have a compression problem inside the engine, and if that's the case, we have to overhaul it, but I'm gonna talk to the customer and see what he thinks. So for now, I'm gonna finish up here and move on. So, what's your biggest challenges today and how did you learn mechanics? That's a couple of the questions I got asked in the comment section some time back, and I'm going to try to answer. The first one, it's a little bit difficult to answer actually because I got so many different challenges. Really, I do. And of course in any job you have challenges, but you know, when it comes to mechanical stuff, especially as a boat mechanic, there's always something new to learn, and there's always challenges, you know, around every corner. There are, you know, those simple jobs that you know in and out, but you know, quite often you are dealing with, you know, things you don't really know how to deal with. And then you have to make some phone calls, read some books, ask, you know, whoever might know more than you about that case. So that, you know, is just a part of the job, comes with the territory, it's just the way it is. But you know, you want to go outside and do billable work, and you want those hours to count. And as soon as you know, have problems, you need to sort of sometimes do those hours on your own account. You can't just bill the customer for everything. I think maybe that's one of the biggest challenges. It's going out there and making money, and then sort of balancing all of that, and then coming in here and do non-billable work, which is everything else that has to do with the company. It's all the economics, emails, phone calls, situations, you know, cases, all of that. And it's not something I film too much, but it's definitely something I'm going to talk a little bit more about in this vlog, because I know, especially in Norway, there's a lot of people who want to start their own businesses right now. It's almost like a boom. So I think everybody wants to be their own boss. And yes, I think it's a good idea. If you've got a good plan, you should go for it. But you know, it's a lot more to it than what you might think. So for me, it's definitely that balance in between going outside working and doing all the mechanical stuff, and then having the extra time and energy to sit in here and make this company function. I think when it comes to the mechanical stuff, maybe the most difficult thing is setting the right diagnostics, really. I mean, there's so many opinions out there. When I encounter a problem, the customer, he has very often talked to somebody on the docks and you know, experts. You can find them everywhere. Very often it's not what you first think it is. Very often it's complex and you don't really know what's the cause of the problem. And as a company, you want to be able to find that mistake, you know, faster than anybody else, and you want it to sort of work really well for the customer. And you want to be able to bill your hours, and you don't want to end up in a situation where you get caught up in mistake after mistake after mistake. And if you start down here at the bottom, at the, you know, the least expensive part of the engine, and you work your way up, hoping that this will be the problem. If that's not the problem, you know, you're hoping this will be the problem. So let's say there's a diesel problem, you change the feed pump. It's one of the least expensive things you can do. But then after a while, you think, it could be the high pressure pump, and then you change that, and it's still same. You still got the same problem. Turns out that you have a problem all the way back to the tank, the fuel line, and all of that. And you know, you got to start at the right end of things. And to be able to do that right away, you need a lot of experience. And to get experience, you need to work a lot and for a long time. So I'm working with guys who are much older than me, and they have all those years of experience. I feel like I'm in the middle of that, you know, learning curve. I got still so many years left, and And to be able to set the right diagnostics is something that I think is challenging, and you have to sort of respect the process, and you have to let the customer know that, you know, this is going to be a process. You can't expect me to just go in and fix it right away. It's actually something we're going to work a little bit on, and it's going to cost a little bit to figure this out. So that communication is also really, really important. I'm just talking now, it's just a lot of mind thoughts, you know, going around now. I like this question because it made me think, and I think I'm going to get back to that question from time to time actually, so that you can actually get a better insight into what it's like to really work as a mechanic on the docks and run a company. And the other question was, how did you learn mechanics? Now, I had to write down a couple of key words here because I didn't know how to explain this using the words I already knew in English. County, I had no idea what that was. High school, wasn't sure how old you are when you go to high school. We call it something else here in Norway. And certificate of apprenticeship, if that's the right way to say it. I had never heard, you know, those words before. Certificate of apprenticeship. So we call it fagbrev or svennebrev here in Norway. So I'm going to try to use these keywords now to explain how I became a mechanic. I'm going to do the short version. There's a long version, but I'm not going to do that right now. So I went to high school many, many years ago. I did something else then. And then some years later, I went back to high school because I decided I wanted to become a mechanic. And you have to sort of do the mechanical schooling thing through high school here in Norway. But you can work as a mechanic at some company, if you will, and then you can sort of do the exams and all of that without attending high school every day. I was only a few days inside that high school. Mostly I spent time with one or two people depending on what we had planned from the county. They actually came to my workplace and they sort of helped me get through the exams, and they were sort of checking up on me and testing me and all of that. And this process took about 4 years, and at the end of it I had a big exam which took more than a week to get through. And at the very end of it we shook hands before Corona time. Definitely. I don't know what they do now. Maybe just wave or send you an email. I don't know. But they were very hands-on. They were very good at their job and really made sure that I had a good time in that process. And at the end of it, I got this certificate of apprenticeship, which is hanging on my wall. I can show it to you. So that was it. I hope you're happy with my answers, and I will get back to the other questions later. So now let's just go back to work. Alright, I was just on the phone with this customer who has starting problems, and we talked a little bit back and forth, and I told him what I truly think is his main issue in his engine, and that is a compression problem. So if the piston rings are slack, they don't really do their job the right way, you can't really build up the right pressure in the cylinders, and if you don't do that, you don't really have the right heat to ignite the engine the right way. All of this, well, it causes starting problems amongst other things. So I can't fix that unless we take the engine out and do a proper job on it. I don't think he wants to do that now. After this talk, he said, well, maybe we can reduce the black smoke just a little bit if you take out the diesel fuel line valves and maybe change the nozzles. And I told him, yeah, don't have too high hopes, but it's, it can definitely have an effect, but it's definitely not going to fix your starting problems. Do you still want me to do it? And he said, yes, do that. And yeah, so that's my plan. I'm going to go back out there. So I think we're going to go straight to the drone shots, and we'll take him out and we'll take it from there. All right. back again. Let's just get this done. So the nozzles are sitting in here, and since this is a 3-cylinder engine, we got 3 of them. So then everything is organized. I got all my tools back, cleaned a little bit, and I'm ready to go. That's it for this time. Next time I'm gonna overhaul these and put them back on the engine, but for now I think I just want to go home and do nothing. If you like what you see, don't hesitate. You can like the videos, or you know, if you want to step it up a notch and take this relationship to the next level, you can. You know what you can do. Subscribe, yes. And of course hit the notification bell if you will. I'm not gonna talk too much about that, but you can. All right, that's it. Bye bye.